2,000 years ago, Rome built roads here that are still standing. 1,000 years ago, three religions shared the same streets, sometimes in peace, sometimes not. Kings built walls to keep out armies. In one city, a cathedral was built directly inside a mosque rather than replacing it. Pilgrims have walked the same road for over a millennium, and they are still walking it today. This is Spain. Not one story, but many, stacked on top of each other. 13 destinations, one road running north to south. From a fishing bay in the Basque Country to the largest Gothic cathedral on earth in Andalusia. From Roman engineering that has never needed a single drop of mortar to a medieval city where synagogues, mosques, and churches once stood on the same block. This is Spain, where every stop is a different empire's fingerprint. Nearly 49 million people, 17 regions, one road from the Atlantic north down to Andalusia. The Romans came first, the Moors stayed longest, the kings outlasted them both. This is Spain, where every stone has already survived 1,000 years and shows no sign of stopping. San Sebastian sits on La Concha. A shell-shaped bay so well formed that it's consistently ranked among the finest urban beaches anywhere in Europe. This is where our journey through Spain begins, 20 kilometers from the French border, in a city that punches far beyond its size. San Sebastian holds more Michelin stars per capita than almost anywhere on Earth. Three-star kitchens like Arzac and Aquelarre have anchored the city's reputation for decades. But the real food culture happens standing up. In the Old Town, the Parte Vieja, locals move bar to bar, ordering one pintxo and a small glass of wine at each stop. Yesterday, an entire dinner assembled one bar at a time. This was a quiet fishing town until the 1840s, when Queen Isabel II began coming here for the sea air. And turned it, almost overnight, into Spain's most fashionable resort. The Monte Igueldo funicular has carried visitors to the same panoramic viewpoint since 1912. The royals moved on, the view never changed. From San Sebastian's elegant bay, we travel 100 kilometers west along the coast. Bilbao waits, a city that was rusting industrial wreckage 30 years ago, remade almost overnight by a single titanium building. Bilbao was dying 30 years ago. Shipyards closing, steelworks shutting down, a river too polluted to look at. Then in 1997, architect Frank Gehry completed a museum unlike anything the world had seen. Curved titanium panels rippling along the riverbank like fish scales. The Guggenheim Museum Bilbao didn't just give the city a new landmark. It gave urban planners a new term. Planning schools worldwide now teach the Bilbao effect. The theory that one extraordinary piece of architecture can single-handedly resurrect a struggling city's economy. Guarding the entrance is Jeff Koons's puppy, a 12-meter West Highland Terrier entirely covered in living flowers, replanted several times a year. "15 minutes away sits the Casco Viejo, the Old Town. Seven medieval streets known as the Siete Calles, the identity Bilbao had long before any museum arrived. The city's metro entrances, nicknamed Fosteritos after architect Norman Foster, are themselves small design landmarks. Bilbao proved a city can rebuild itself around beauty instead of industry. From Bilbao's reinvented riverfront, we travel 100 kilometers west into Cantabria. Santander waits, a royal beach town built almost by accident around one king's search for cleaner air. Santander sits on one of the largest natural bays in Europe. And it owes its elegance to one king's asthma. In 1912, King Alfonso XIII built the Palacio de la Magdalena on its own private peninsula here, ringed by beaches on three sides, and the Spanish aristocracy followed him north for the summer ever since. A short drive inland, something stranger, Cabárceno. Once an open-pit iron mine gouged into the hillside for over a century, it's now a wildlife park where rhinos, elephants, and bears roam freely across the old quarry floor. Nature reclaiming an industrial scar. And in the small town of Comillas stands El Capricho, the only building Antoni Gaudí ever completed in northern Spain. Most visitors go their whole lives without knowing it exists, tucked quietly on this stretch of Atlantic coast. From Santander's royal shoreline, we continue west along the Atlantic into Galicia. A Coruña waits, where a Roman lighthouse built 2,000 years ago is still, today, doing its job. 2,000 years ago, Roman engineers built a lighthouse on this Atlantic headland at A Coruña. It's still working today, the oldest Roman lighthouse in continuous use anywhere in the world. Still guiding ships into the harbor exactly as it has since the reign of Emperor Trajan. The exterior you see now is 18th century neoclassical stonework. Added like a shell around the original Roman core, which still stands inside. Local legend claims something darker beneath it, that Hercules buried the severed head of the giant Geryon at this exact spot after slaying him. Whatever you believe, the fact remains, this is a piece of the Roman Empire that never stopped doing its job. UNESCO recognized it in 2009. At 55 meters tall, it's still an active maritime lighthouse, watching over the same stretch of Atlantic it always has. From A Coruña's ancient light, we travel 65 kilometers south. Santiago de Compostela waits, the endpoint of a pilgrimage that has drawn walkers for over 1,000 years, and in 2025, more of them than ever before. Santiago de Compostela is where a 1,000-year-old road ends. Legend holds that the remains of the Apostle James were discovered here in the 9th century. And that discovery turned this corner of Galicia into one of Christianity's 3 great pilgrimage destinations, alongside Rome and Jerusalem. People still walk here, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, for reasons that have very little to do with tourism. In 2025, more than 530,000 pilgrims received their Compostela certificate for completing the walk. The highest number ever recorded in the pilgrimage's history. And the 3rd consecutive record-breaking year. Nearly half walked the Camino Francés, the classic route through northern Spain. The Camino is not shrinking. It is right now at its peak. Inside the cathedral, the Bota-Fumero, an enormous silver incense burner, is swung across the transept at speeds approaching 68 kilometers an hour. It began as something practical, fumigating pilgrims who had walked for weeks without a proper bath. Today it remains one of the most extraordinary sights in any church in the world. From Santiago's Cathedral of Arrival, we travel 300 kilometers southeast into the heart of Castile. Salamanca waits. A university city founded 800 years ago, still glowing gold under the evening light. Salamanca's university was founded in 1218, one of the oldest in the world. Predating Oxford's earliest colleges. Its ornately carved stone facade hides a tradition students still take seriously. Somewhere in the detail sits a tiny frog perched on a skull. And legend holds that any student who spots it unaided will pass their exams. The Plaza Mayor is often called the most beautiful main square in Spain. An 18th century Baroque set piece that turns golden every night under floodlighting. That glow is exactly how Salamanca earned its nickname, La Dorada, the Golden City. The stone itself, Villa Mayor sandstone, does the work, no filters required. Christopher Columbus is said to have come here to consult scholars before he ever set sail for the Americas. Centuries later, the city still runs on the same currency it always has. Ideas still being taught, still being carried out into the world. From Salamanca's golden squares, we travel 100 kilometers southeast into the mountains. Ávila waits, sealed inside the most complete medieval wall left standing anywhere in Spain. Ávila is ringed by the most complete medieval fortifications still standing in Spain. Two and a half kilometers of granite wall, 88 semicircular towers. Nine gates, built between the 11th and 14th centuries to hold off incursions from the south. Walk along the top of it today, and the view has not changed in 700 years. This is also the birthplace of Saint Teresa of Avila. One of Catholicism's most influential mystics and reformers, born within these walls in 1515. Her convent still stands inside the old town, a quiet counterpoint to the fortress surrounding it. At over 1,100 meters above sea level, Avila is Spain's highest provincial capital. The air is thinner, the light sharper. At night, when the walls are lit, the city looks less like a tourist stop and more like a place time simply forgot to update. From Avila's unbroken ramparts, we travel 65 kilometers northeast. Segovia waits, where a 2,000-year-old Roman aqueduct still stands without a single drop of mortar holding it together. The Roman aqueduct of Segovia rises 28.5 meters above the city at its tallest point. Held together by nothing but precision. Roughly 20,000 granite blocks, cut and stacked with such exactness that no mortar was ever used. And none has been needed for close to 2,000 years. Built in the 1st century AD, it carried water 17 kilometers from mountain springs. And it kept doing that job until the 1970s. 167 arches stretch across roughly 700 meters, running directly through the middle of the old town. It's not a ruin set apart from the city. It's still the gateway into it, exactly as it was designed to be. Above the old town rises the Alcázar. A castle of turrets and spires so distinctive that it's widely believed to have influenced Walt Disney's Cinderella Castle. Two engineering marvels, one Roman, one medieval, standing less than a kilometer apart, separated by more than 1,000 years, connected by the same skyline. From Segovia's ancient waterway, we travel 90 kilometers southeast to the capital. Madrid waits, the point every road in Spain is measured from, literally. Every road in Spain is measured from one spot. Puerta del Sol, kilometer 0, marked by a simple plaque in the pavement at the exact geographic and symbolic center of Madrid. This is Europe's highest altitude capital city, sitting at roughly 650 meters, and the political heart of the country. The Royal Palace is one of the largest functioning royal residences in Western Europe, still used for state ceremonies. The Plaza Mayor, a 17th century square, has hosted markets, executions, bullfights, and coronations across 4 centuries. Gran Via, the city's grand early 20th century boulevard, earned the nickname the Spanish Broadway for its theaters and neon lights. At the Cibeles fountain, the goddess Cibele rides her lion-drawn chariot at the crossing of Madrid's grandest avenues. One of the most photographed intersections in the country. Retiro Park spreads across 125 hectares of gardens, once reserved exclusively for royalty. Now the city's green lung, its ornamental lake watched over by a monument to King Alfonso XII. Every route through Spain eventually passes through here. This is where the country converges. From Madrid's crossroads, we travel 70 kilometers southwest. Toledo waits, a city where three religions once shared the same streets, wrapped almost entirely by the longest river on the Iberian Peninsula. The Tagus, the longest river on the Iberian Peninsula, wraps almost entirely around Toledo. Cutting a natural moat around a hilltop that was, for centuries, the capital of Spain itself. Few cities anywhere carry this much layered history in so small a footprint. For hundreds of years, Christian, Muslim, and Jewish communities built side by side here. Synagogues, mosques converted into churches, and Gothic cathedrals standing within a few streets of one another. It's evidence of a coexistence that was rare anywhere in medieval Europe, preserved almost intact in Toledo's stone. El Greco spent most of his working life in Toledo. And his masterpiece, The Burial of the Count of Orgaz, still hangs in the exact church it was painted for in the 16th century. At sunset, the whole city turns the color of amber against the gorge below, more or less the reason painters have never quite been able to leave. From Toledo's layered streets, we travel 190 kilometers southwest into Extremadura. Mérida waits, the best-preserved Roman provincial capital left standing anywhere in Spain. Mérida was founded in 25 BC as Emerita Augusta. And it holds the largest, most intact collection of Roman ruins anywhere in Spain. Unlike most ancient sites, several of them are still doing their original job. The Roman Theatre still hosts a live classical drama festival every summer. A tradition running continuously since 1933. The amphitheater once seated around 15,000 people for gladiatorial combat. The Puente Romano is one of the longest Roman bridges surviving anywhere in the world, and parts of it are still walkable today. An aqueduct strides across the valley on towering stone piers, still standing after 2,000 years of wind and weather. There's also a full Roman circus, once built for chariot races, and a triumphal arch marking the city's original boundary. Most Roman cities left behind fragments. Mérida left behind almost an entire capital, still standing at attention 2,000 years later. From Mérida's Roman ruins, we travel 190 kilometers southeast into the heart of Andalusia. Córdoba waits, where a Renaissance cathedral was built directly inside one of the largest mosques the world has ever seen. In the 10th century, Córdoba was the largest city in Western Europe. A center of science, philosophy, and religious tolerance under Islamic rule, at a time when much of the continent had none of the three. At its heart stands the Mezquita, a forest of more than 850 columns in banded red and white stone, built as one of the largest mosques ever constructed. Then, in the 16th century, Christian rulers did something almost unthinkable. They built a full Renaissance cathedral directly inside its center, cutting straight through centuries of Islamic architecture. The result is one of the strangest, most breathtaking buildings on the planet. Two faiths, two architectural languages, occupying the exact same footprint. Wander into the Juderia, the old Jewish quarter, and you'll find one of the last surviving medieval synagogues left in Spain. Every May, Córdoba's Courtyard Festival, recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage, fills these lanes with flowers. This is a city that once held 3 religions at once, and for a while made it work. From Córdoba's mosque-cathedral, we travel 140 kilometers south to complete our journey. Seville waits, home to the largest Gothic cathedral on earth and a royal palace still in active use 8 centuries later. Seville Cathedral is the largest Gothic cathedral in the world by volume, built directly on top of a former mosque. Its bell tower, the Giralda, was originally a 12th century Islamic minaret. Repurposed rather than demolished, and standing today exactly where it always has. Beside it, the Real Alcázar is still, remarkably, an active royal residence. Among the oldest in Europe still used by a reigning monarchy. Its intricate Mudéjar tilework became known worldwide as a filming location for the fictional Kingdom of Dorne in Game of Thrones. Flamenco was born in Seville's working-class neighborhoods, out of Roma, Andalusian, and Moorish traditions colliding in the same streets. And in the vast, curved Plaza de España, built for the 1929 Ibero-American Exposition, Spain's history is laid out in painted tile, province by province, story by story. From Seville's cathedral and palace, our journey ends. "13 destinations, north to south." From a shell-shaped bay in the Basque Country to a Renaissance cathedral built directly inside a working mosque. From a Roman lighthouse still guiding ships after 2,000 years to a pilgrim road still drawing more walkers every year than the one before it. This is Spain, where every stop belongs to a different empire, and every empire left something still standing. We stood on a bay that turned a queen's holiday into a nation's most elegant coastline. We watched a rusting shipyard city rebuild itself around a single building. We walked a road that pilgrims have not stopped walking in over 1,000 years. We climbed inside a wall that has never fallen and stood beneath an aqueduct that has never needed a drop of mortar. We stood at the center of a country where every road is measured from the same paving stone. We watched 3 religions share one city's streets and watched a cathedral rise from inside a mosque without ever tearing it down. Spain is nearly 49 million people living inside layers of empire that never fully left. The Roman aqueduct still stands. The Camino still fills every spring with new pilgrims. The Mezquita's columns still hold up 2 faiths under one roof. Salamanca's university still teaches the same subjects it did 800 years ago. The old stories never left. They just kept building on top of each other. This is Spain, where Rome built roads that are still carrying traffic. Where Moorish kingdoms built palaces that Christian kings chose to keep rather than destroy. Where pilgrims still walk a 1,000-year-old road on foot, by choice, in numbers that keep climbing. Where every stone has already survived 1,000 years and shows no sign of stopping.